Hello, hello, beautiful soul. Welcome along today. Hope the sun is shining wherever you are. It certainly is where I am. So today we are discussing the art of imperfect action. And look, reformed perfectionist right here, active perfectionist as well, working through my own tendencies towards perfectionism. And so, I'm speaking from that place of figuring things out in my own way, as well as having worked with so many people who also have this tendency. So I wanted to talk about it. Is that you? Are you somebody who holds incredibly high standards and you just want things to be perfect? Particular things, not everything, right? But particular things. There are particular areas of your life or particular zones, ways of being, things that you enjoy doing that you hold a very high standard in, maybe higher standards than others. And in your mind and in your way of doing things, quality comes with, the ability to get it to that near perfection. Right? Especially if it's something that you're very good at, something that you know a lot about, or a skill that you have, or something that you really enjoy doing, or you're doing a lot. You know what it is to have very good quality and to do something very, very well. So it's this area that I'm speaking to. And the problem that, of course, you will be well aware of that we can run into is when our desire for that perfection, the beauty, the splendor, the getting it absolutely right the way that we want to do it, from the in here visioning to the out there process, when it's not quite exactly where we want it to be, in exactly the right way that we want it to be, we can hold off, we can wait, we can procrastinate, we can revise, we can redo again and again and repolish again and again and again, and we can get caught in this place where we never get it complete, where we never get it to the next point or the next stage that it needs to be at, in order to free us up, to move us to the next place where we can then get on with whatever next is happening. And so if there's nothing wrong with having perfectionistic tendencies and to wanting to create things beautifully and wonderfully and perfectly in the world, nothing wrong with that at all. But when it gets you caught up, right, let me know. Have you experienced this? I'm sure you have. This can be a problem. This can be a stuck point. And how can you get past it? And how can your spiritual experiences actually help with that process too? So the first thing I wanted to discuss was the art of imperfect action, and why becoming masterful in that is actually really important if we ever want to get anything done. So there comes a point where in your project, in your piece of art, whatever it is that you're working on to perfection, there comes a point where we have to accept it for what it is and let it go and not tinker at it anymore, right? There comes that point. And in doing this process again and again and again, we start to get a little bit more comfortable with releasing and letting go of that thing that we're working on, that thing that we've been so obsessively attuned to and into for so long. There comes a point of letting go, of releasing, and of accepting. And those are qualities that relate directly to our spiritual experiences, our spiritual expansion, spiritual maturity, the ability to let go of some things. You might have heard that phrase, let go, let God, right? That's the way that some people like to word it, whatever God means to you, or however you want to phrase that, but it's a nice, catchy phrase, right? So the ability to let go, to surrender your thing, right? Your obsession to the world, yeah? And I understand the preciousness of that moment, especially when it's like, if you're a creative writer and you've been creating an album you've been creating a book, you've been creating, you know, a piece of work to wear, or something, right? Whatever project, or even when you're involved in project management, right? You've created something incredible and beautiful, and you want to keep going and going and going. But cultivating that ability to let go, to surrender it, right? And to accept it as it is, knowing that you have put in the best of you, the best of your ability, the best of who you are to that point in time, because we're always adapting and growing and improving. That is enough. Right there, that is more than enough. If you continue to hold on to it after that point, right, where you've given it everything you could, you've, you know, kept going on and on with it, and it's amazing, and there's really not that much more, but you just feel, you know, there's some more reason why you can't let go of it at that point, then something else is going on at that point, right? And that would be the point of inquiry. Why is it that I cannot let go of this thing, right? But if your stuckness simply comes from, you know, I find myself stuck and bogged down and procrastinating in things, and procrastination is just another word for that stuckness, right? Because I can't get past that point of perfecting, then I would invite you to practice, you know, that art of surrendering, the art of accepting. I'll give you a little story that really helped me do this with a massive project that I was on. So when I was doing my doctoral studies, which is, you know, probably a one time in a lifetime only thing that you would do. Some people are crazy enough to do a couple of them, but I won't be. And so just this one deep obsession is what it is, because you have to get so into it, right? And it's a deep relationship for many years. Yeah. So I was in it, and I was deep in it, and I was nearing the point where, you know, I was writing things up, and I was doing my all of the research, right, with all of the literature, my literature review. And so I'm reading the reports, and I mean, my desk that I had at the time, I literally had mountains of paper all around me, with highlights and all kinds of things through them, notes and notes and notes, right? And books all over the place, yeah. And my beautiful, beautiful dissertation chair, my mentor, a soul mentor, Ryan, bless you, thank you, Ryan, said to me at some point, you know, because I was just getting into so deep into information, I'm like, where does this ever end, right? Because more information always comes. And he said to me, Nicole, if you start going around in loops, if you can see the loops in the information, then you know that's the time to stop, that you've done enough. And that gave me a marker and permission to know and understand that I had already journeyed far enough to take the next step, and to stop that process, and to morph into the next piece, which was putting those findings together, knowing that there was always new information still coming out. There were always more pathways to investigate. There were always more books to read and things to print off, and it could keep going forever, because the learning journey is forever. The beautifying journey is forever, and the perfectionist journey can be forever. So, to my fellow perfectionist out there, I hear you, I feel you, I understand what it is like to be in that space of needing it to be right the way that you want it right, but also being painfully stuck in that point because you just have to get to the next part. You know, you've been in this part for too long. It is time to move on. So to that, may you embrace, if it feels right, the art of surrendering, of accepting what it is, right, as it is, and just moving on in its imperfection, knowing that you've given it your best shot for now. Call on your spiritual experiences and the wisdom of those expansive experiences that have connected you to things like acceptance of what is. Maybe you have a mindfulness practice, right? That is then being in this as it is, no more, no less, right? Maybe it's something about the letting go and letting God, that is connected to your practice or your wisdom from your experiences? If so, call in on that, knowing that you have. Apply those, what I call golden nuggets, apply those golden nuggets, those gifts from your experiences, so that you can put them into your everyday life. If you would like to carry on and learn more about how you can take your spiritual experiences and the golden nuggets and gifts of those into your everyday life, of course, you can join me on my Spirit Gifts 101 program. That is what we discuss through the program, and we get you going through the live coaching and make sure that you are applying the gifts of your experiences to your lived experience in the day-to-day, because by golly, the world needs your gifts, and the world needs people who have woken up to understand what their gifts are, get masterful in them, get comfortable in them, because you have messages to share, you have gifts to share. There are people out in the world who could benefit greatly from the teachings and the learnings that have come about from your own path of growth, of transformation, of aha moments, right? But sometimes we need a helping hand, a bit of support to walk through that. So get in touch with me if you want to find out more about that. Be well, live, laugh, love. Much love to you, and carry on with that imperfect action. Let me know what you are working on with your imperfect actions today.